You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Scott Gerard, the coach, Tim LaComb. Hope you're all having a tremendous day. I've known this guy for a long time, one of the best out there. Casey Smurthwaite, consultant with Athletics and Men, kind enough to join us. Casey, how you doing, my friend?
It's a great day to talk sports, and it's, I believe, in the words of Steve Spurrier, it's talking season, SEC Media Days.
It is talking season indeed. All right, so I said on the show a couple days ago that Greg Sankey and Kirby Smart, these guys are posturing. There's no way they're going to break away. This is they're looking for leverage. It's all bluster. They don't have the guts to actually do it. You sent me a text this morning. You're like, hey. I'm not saying they're going to, but they could, and there's a roadmap in which they can do it. So kind of walk us through this, how this could become a reality.
Brother, the consulting fee checks are cashing right now, and that's step number one for a Big Ten SEC breakaway. And I think the first step is you got to throw it out there. I mean, I think at the beginning with the private equity word, with media rights, with, hey, we can do this on our own without you. I mean, we got to remember that the NCAA started as a championship and event organization. Collegiate athletics started as a recreation extension of the mission statement of a university. It's now not that. In fact, we're so far beyond that it doesn't even look like what it was. So now we can kind of have these conversations that it's operating as a multi-million-dollar, hundreds of millions of dollars entity for most of these schools that can make that move. So where it looks like it could go is that first look-in for the Big Ten, that 2029, 2030, there is money to be made to basically just say, hey, look, breakaway football and do your own thing. Invite some select schools in almost in an expansion league aspect, almost like the NFL or a brand new league, to say we're going to have our own football league. You could still be part of the NCAA and other sports, but in that 2029, 2030 window, the Big Ten has that first crack to be able to do something, whether that's adding maybe a Notre Dame into that conversation to add a little value, who knows? But then that second window is in that 2033, 2034 window with the SEC. They have also an opportunity in that 2032, should they choose, but it's more likely in that 2033, 2034 window to make something happen. So I think it's now all of a sudden going from, hey, we could do this as just a little bit of a threat to flirting to, hey, let's actually look into this because there is a lot of money being thrown around even without private equity.
So you're talking, those dates. So for the rest of everybody else that's just wanting to play college football, like, is there any kind of resolution that makes this period of time less bumpy, rocky? Do you see anything in the near future that could actually address some of the major issues going on?
Absolutely. And it's happening right now, Coach, in the sense of the Protect College Sports Act. And now lawmakers, you've seen a couple of tweets out there from the media saying that we're now in deal mode. We're now looking across the table to the Big Ten and SEC saying, let's get a deal done. Because what that does with the Protect College Sports Act, the 100+ pages, even if it gets down to 50 or 6 pages, that protection isn't just about the college sports. That protection is also collecting, keeping everybody together. And that protection keeps Rutgers, which is a winner in realignment. It keeps Mississippi State, Vanderbilt with Georgia and Alabama. That's part of the protection. It keeps your Indiana, even beyond Kurt Cignetti in the national championship, in the conversation with Ohio State. That protection keeps everybody together, and it can give them a longer runway beyond that 2033, 2034. So in the moment right now, I think it's just getting a deal done. But part of that bargaining chip that Coach, you kind of mentioned, and even Scotty G, even earlier in the show, is you've got to be able to have some sort of leverage on both sides of it. But right now, the Big Ten and the SEC, they have the bargaining chips to say, we don't need you, because we forget the NCAA doesn't run college football playoff. The NCAA doesn't run bowl games. In fact, $1.5 billion of the NCAA revenue, $1 billion of that comes from March Madness. The rest of it is package together of all the other tournaments, other assets. None of it comes from the FBS playoffs or the college football playoff. So the NCAA doesn't really look at this like, oh, hey, oh no. This could be a different opportunity for the NCAA depending on what lens they're looking through.
Athletic director at Iowa State, who's stepping down, Jamie Pollard, said, all right, you guys want to leave? All right, fine, leave. Wait, just do it. We're tired of this. Just do it. But you're going to have to take all your other sports with them. So good luck with your gymnastics, your soccer, your basketball teams, because if you leave, you're gone completely. I can't imagine that would actually happen. I imagine if they do leave, it's somewhat of a hybrid. But would these other schools left behind sign off on something like that?
I don't believe so. I think you run into a situation where all of a sudden you're now having multiple crises in scheduling for your gymnastics, for your softball programs. At the end of the day, you're going to want to have your men's and women's basketball teams playing at Kentucky. You're going to want your men's and women's basketball teams playing at Alabama, playing at Florida, even baseball, softball. You don't want to keep scheduling, Iowa State to play at Indiana State. No disrespect to them. That doesn't move the needle. It's going to be a model. And if you look at the compliance in the NCAA rule book, it is sport by sport. There is no rule nor bylaw that says if you take one sport and move it outside of the entity of the NCAA, you're out completely. That is not in the rule book. It is sport by sport. And what folks forget is just last year, U.S. soccer and U.S. hockey have both approached the NCAA about saying, can we take over? Can we help? Can we actually remove some of your teams or help you schedule and be a part of the governing body to make this sport better? The NCAA didn't say no. They said, yeah, let's find a way to collaborate. So there's even a model in this to where, yeah, we can maybe even have a break off to maybe make it better. And even Jamie Pollard, folks forget, was even open to the idea of a break off where it's just football just last year. So even Jamie Pollard's been a proponent of saying, hey, let's make this work, but have your other sports here. So you can't have both sides of it.
Speaking of the playoff, what format, Casey, you believe best? Yeah, I mean, I know the SEC is pushing for fewer in the Big Ten, and obviously others want more. But where do you feel like that optimal number is?
I think the optimal number is all the hypothetical matchups that the SEC and Big Ten wants, right? I mean, that's the answer. No, I think at the end of the day, I think everybody needs to have access at the beginning of the year. And I think the regular season naturally should be part of the quote unquote playoff system. I think it's more of a calendar problem that where it needs to be done by, the first week of January for calendaring. And what does that look like? I don't know, but I think that you should have at least 16 teams and break it down. For me, what it looks like is having home games on campus. Those home games were fantastic. I think access for at most 2 to 3 non-power teams, because that's fun. But at the end of the day, I think you need to look at what does the calendar look like? What gives the most access to the teams that are the most deserving? Not necessarily the eye test, in my opinion, but can you get 16 teams? Can you even expand it to 32 teams? But you look at the FCS playoffs, and it even ties back into this Protect College Sports Act. There are entities out there such as private equity. I've been fortunate enough to be in rooms where they're talking about a lot of money to be made to help benefit these schools who are paying for some of these opportunities for games to be played. But there's a lot of problems right now, and I think a lot of it revolves around spending problems. I think it's somehow, some way, collegiate athletics needs to be kind of curbed a little bit, maybe capped, or even a salary floor or set in order to make some of these decisions to move forward.
So in saying, whatever they decide the number is the optimal, I mean, there's a certain point where I think everybody has to ask the question, don't they have some sort of like duty to make sure the long-term health of college athletics, thrives, is not just their own interests? I mean, does there ever get to be a point where that happens?
Yes. And I think part of that is part of the Protect College Sports Act. I think the longevity, every commissioner and athletic director, I've spoken to 4 commissioners in the last week. All of them say, is the Protect College Sports Act good for the sport? Yes. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. There are some poison pills in the act right now that actually hurt, in a way, women's sports. Even though there's a whole section about protecting women's sports, there's a couple of poison pills in there. It's very nuanced, but they all say it's a step in the right direction. Now, those commissioners I've spoken to, are they from the Big Ten or Greg Sankey at the SEC or Tony P? No, they aren't. These are your group of 5 commissioners, group of 6. But to that longevity aspect, they all recognize that the model that we're in right now is not sustainable. And in order to make a long-term, or even make it look like our good old glory days that we all wish that we had, and I'm sorry, BYU's not going to win a national championship this year, or, we're not going back to the 80s, but to even get close to that model, we need to make sure that we're protecting college sports in some way, shape, or form. So this act's going to be able to at least put up some guardrails, put up a floor, and even a cap in some way, shape, or form, in order to give us some direction and some guidance to make it look like what it once was.
I know that, like any bill, we all saw the cartoon back in the day in our civics classes. That sucker is going to continue to get redlined and redlined and redlined. But at the end of the day, where's your confidence level that we might actually see something get passed from this?
Before Media Day started, I talked to an SEC athletic director, and I asked that same exact question. The answer, I will pass along, 20%. And every day that goes by, I think that number drops. And on the flip side of that, goes back to this original question, Scotty, is that the closer, or the number, as that number drops, the other number goes higher into a potential breakaway, because there's money to be made. There's interest in it. What does that look like? It could be a Notre Dame adding in. It could be, let's have a draft, because I don't think a Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, or Northwestern, or Rutgers makes that move all the way if it is a draft, like in that aspect. So the likelihood, probably 20% right now. I'll piggyback off that answer. So I think the likelihood of a break off or some sort of league grows every day, as long as the days and the calendar, the weeks and the months pass by.
In a weird way, I mean, does the G5, would they be okay with a breakaway just to kind of settle things down for them and maybe get out of the at least pretend arms race, where they at least have to pretend like they're trying to keep up, and have some governance at least on their level? And maybe it might be best for both sides if mom and dad were to decide to go their separate ways.
I mean, there's this carnal security that I think fans even, I mean, I'm a fan. I work in the industry. I work with a lot of athletic directors. I root for teams. I want to get involved in games, and I want to see, student athletes succeed, but the model's unsustainable. And I think if you can see that breakaway, I think you start to have a little bit of a sigh of relief, knowing that you don't have to look across the table and say, that's another 20 million we don't have to keep up with. We don't have to keep up with the Joneses so much, but it also, I think, brings a lot of relief to know who you are. And I think there's a great value in knowing who you are in the industry, in any industry, of knowing who you are, knowing your mission statement, and knowing where you can compete, and knowing where you can corner the market, knowing who you can recruit, knowing what fish you can fish in order to succeed. And I think that does bring stability to the industry. And at the end of the day, to Jamie Pollard's second comments about let them break away, yeah, make it. I think it's going to be great for the sport. And I think that trickle-down effect only impacts the group of 5, group of 6. And I know fans aren't going to like this, but I think there's going to be a day where, and there's a lot of money. There is a lot of money. We're talking home games, $5, $10, $12 million per game for Utah State, winning or being a runner-up or winning the Pac-12, hosting a second-round playoff game to face the winner of the Mountain West versus the Big Sky Conference winner. And I know fans won't like that, but you can't tell me that wouldn't be exciting in that type of a college football format if there was a breakaway. And then all of a sudden you have this trickle-down effect where there's a 32-team playoff that's truly a universal matchup. And FCS teams are now kind of in this middle ground, and there's money to be made versus having to break even at the Idaho Potato Bowl. And I love the Potato Bowl. Or is that first round matchup, the Idaho Potato Bowl, being housed at Maverick Stadium? And it's that matchup of North Dakota State at Utah State. Who knows? But there is some interest, there is some traction, but the curiosity's there. I'm talking every day about it, but it's mainly private equity. There's problems, rising costs. You've got to find revenue somehow, some way, and there are people willing to pony up that money, both networks and private equity, that want to see it happen.
Being an athletic director in this day and age has got to be just a never-ending, deluge of bad news. And it's amazing to me how, we sat down and talked to both Brian Santiago and Mark Harlan, and everybody's coming at it this different. But you mentioned private equity and the deal that Utah has, and it's underfoot now. It's on its way. Money's being used to kind of figure out engines to drive revenue, as you talked about. But what's your overall thought on that deal that Utah made, and the likelihood of it being something that a lot of other people jump into?
I think, for one, I'll preface this with, I hope it's successful. We're in the Beehive State. I want every school to succeed here. I think I'll use, Kentucky with their Blue of Champions or Champions Blue LLC. I'll use Michigan State Spartan Ventures that went out and created an LLC to do very similar to what the University of Utah is doing with Otro Capital. But the difference is Michigan State went out and fundraised $400 million and then used a portion of it to create 30 plus jobs, not take away jobs and make others reapply for those jobs. So I hope it's successful, but I think there's a model that's already been proven to be successful and actually created jobs without forcing others to be reassigned and or reapply for their job. But I hope it's successful, and I hope it becomes a model for success for other institutions. I just believe that a school like Michigan State, who went out philanthropically and got investors and fundraised for that money to create an LLC, I think that's a model that right now, if I was an athletic director and I needed to make an LLC, I'm going to go that route 10 out of 10 times.
Hey, a lot of people had opinions on the Big 12 Monster partnership. People thought that perhaps the Big 12 undersold themselves a little bit. You've taken a fine-tooth comb to that thing. What are your thoughts?
Great question. Monster Energy, Big 12. I'll say Brett Yormark, I think, is one of the most innovative athletic directors. I think he's done a really good job. I think from even the court malfunctions, I think it was very smart. I think that is the future still. I will hold to that in some way, shape, or form. That contract, there are some really unique features to international branding and domestic branding and marketing. They basically have lines of credit. Some of it was redacted that I saw, of each school getting a credit and a line item of credit for sponsorship and commercial rights. That number is not going to show up in that whatever 1.2 million that was out there on social media that got torn to pieces. Do I believe that first cash number is a little low of the value? Yes, absolutely. But at the end of the day, if the Big 12's innovative branding and marketing to go worldwide is their true goal, then you have to say it's a win. Could you have gotten a little bit more money out of it? Yes. But, we're July, August. You've got to start to make a decision. And I think for a low-hanging fruit to get a deal done that's in millions of dollars, that's going to give you an international brand, along with Monster Energy, yeah, I think that's a win. Overall, there's a lot of schools and conferences right now that are still struggling to get any type of traction on a deal. So it kind of comes back to that whole, would you rather have half a loaf or no loaf going into the season when you have so many other expenses and line items that you have to go through? Go take the cash, go take the line item of credit for marketing and sponsorship, both domestically and internationally, and call it a win.
Texas Tech announced recently a 15-year, $75 million agreement to rename Jones AT&T Stadium as Galaxy Stadium. And I assume that because that's a heck of a way to get a bunch of revenue from sponsorships, that's going to be probably more of what we see across the country.
Yes, indeed. And to take that even a step further, one of the things that's out there, I posted a little bit about it, is the jersey patch sponsorship. Everything's going to be up for sale right now. Everything. I'll share this with my friends at KSL Sports Zone after this. you've seen Nike and Adidas even send out their own information that's contrary to what the NCAA has put out in terms of jersey patch information. They're saying that you can only have one jersey patch. And the Big 12 obviously put out their Monster Energy one, and some of these teams have already announced that they have their own jersey patches. So there's a lot of schools that are out there saying everything's for sale. Brett Yormark, again, a great innovative commissioner, in his opening press conference said, we're open for business. And I think you're seeing that as a trickle-down effect, whether it's Texas Tech on everything. We're open for business. And I think as these athletic directors' scopes, characteristics are all changing, they're going to be saying the same things. We're open for business. Oh, you see that on the court, that open space? We're open for business. I've even seen a sponsorship pitch deck for the urinals for a plumbing company at a school come across my desk. It's happening. Look at UVU and the Wolverines, the Fighting Jared Sumptions. They had some really cool and unique sponsorships in their brand new soccer stadium. There are some things out there that I have never seen before, or even sitting down in a bathroom and you're sitting in an enclosed cabin space and it's a sponsorship for a getaway. And that's the type of era that we're in. And for folks going back to jersey patches who have said, oh, we hate this, we don't want any branding on uniforms. Spoiler alert, there's been one on there for 30, 40 years. The Nike swoosh, the Under Armour X, or the 3-Stripe Life. You've already had one on there. You just haven't realized it. So we're in an era that we have to change, but that's also part of the bigger conversation. There are so many line items, so many expenses that are being added. So you have to pull from somewhere. And the biggest thing for me, the biggest thing for athletic directors is you can't keep taxing the fans. You can't keep taxing the students. You can't keep taxing the same people who've been supporting you day in and day out. And now you're finally going to get to a point where you can't do it anymore. Or you're going to be a St. Mary's that just got that a credit warning because they've been tapping into their endowment a little bit more than they should have been. And now you're going to get to a point where you're impacting the student, not just the student athlete, the student and the mission of a university, because you're making some decisions, not saying it's all athletics, but you're making some of these decisions that are going to impact the actual mission statement of a university.
The Mountain West and the Pac-12, it kind of looks like to me, and you know my affiliation with Utah State. That's where I got to know you very well. But it to me, the Mountain West and the Pac-12 kind of look like that Spider-Man GIF where they're just pointing at each other. They're the same thing. I would love to see cooler heads prevail and this just be one giant conference. At what point do you think that nasty rivalry gets put away and maybe they can figure some stuff out here?
Well, I want to know, if Gloria and Teresa, I've been meaning to ask them, are they exchanging Christmas cards?
I don't think so. I think at one point, yes. And I don't think so anymore.
Not so anymore. Like there's some, just in the West in general, there's some weird dynamics out West when it comes to conference affiliations. And part of that is just your national geography. I'm with you. I think there were 3 or 4 options on how it could have been done. And the path that was chosen, I'm being careful with my words, the path that was chosen was probably the toughest, the ugliest. And it hurts me because, like you and Coach, we love that tradition, that culture, that passion, that brand, that pageantry, that Pac-12 after dark. But that's the beauty in college athletics that we all love and know, and it's changing. And that's why we're here today having these type of conversations, is because we love what we do. We love sports. We love the identity that it gives us. And we wish that we could go back, that nostalgia aspect. And now that's all changed, and we have to find that new identity and have those new conversations. And as we move forward, we have to kind of say, oh, what could have been? But I think down the road, I think the dust will settle, and I think there's going to be affiliations. I think there's going to be some creative ways that they can get back together. it was an ugly breakup, but it doesn't mean that they can't send each other a card, maybe not on Christmas, but maybe around Valentine's Day. They're going to hey you up,
Thinking of you. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe the KSL Sports Zone Network can host a wonderful. I've seen your barbecue, Scotty G. You have been elite. You are killing it out there.
Well, and anytime you want to come on by, you and your lovely wife are welcome. We'll do it upright. We'll have ourselves a good time at the barbecue. I'm just curious to know, look, Pandora's box is open, and it's not closing completely. But if there was an element that could be put back in the box, it's not going to be NIL. Obviously, these players have generated a lot of money, and they deserve a good chunk of that money. I'm not arguing that. Can we at least rein in the eligibility a little bit, or can we rein in the unlimited free transfers? Is there any hope for that down the line?
Yes, and I think when you're in the Protect College Sports Act mode, where they said, hey, we're in now deal-making mode as of, I think, last Thursday, I think when you water it down, you're going to start slashing. And I think that's going to be one of the baseline moments of, hey, we've got to get this taken care of. Eligibility, your base compensation, transfers. Those are going to be some of your basics. Your financial packages. What does it look like with GPAs? The Lane Kiffin. By the way, I did keep my phone for John Summerall on silent. I know we were talking about that a little bit earlier.
Thank you.
I should have mentioned that earlier. I was prepared. I think the Lane Kiffin rule, I think those are going to be kind of the watered down eventually where it lands. But some of the aspects to allow maybe some further movement will still be unaddressed. But beyond that, I mean, you've got to do something. And I think out west, it needs to be stronger together. And you need to make some moves to start some sort of alignment and affiliations, because it's just getting weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. And one league's got to combine with another, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's a big West Coast at some point one day, and some fans might not like that. And if that's what it does to really strengthen the West in realignment, so be it.
So be it indeed. Hey, Casey, again, offer stands, barbecue, my place, anytime you want, man. I got you.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
Hey, no problem whatsoever. We'll make it happen. Hey, I appreciate your time. Let's do this more often. This is fun.
Okay.
Thanks, Casey.
Casey Smurthwaite, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I knew Casey for a long time. He does a tremendous job. And again, consultant with the athletics administrations across the country, and really good dude. Absolutely good dude.
He's on the front lines, man. He's getting a lot of info, a lot of intel. But I'm with him. I think everything's for sale. I think he brings up a great point. There's so much sponsorship, availability and that sort of thing in the right situation. So I look for them to have patches all over the place, man.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Up and down their legs, probably. I would like the right knee.
Oh, man. I would just I just get it for, and look, this is no knock on our friends in the MLS, but when a kit in soccer, the predominant thing across the chest is a sponsor, I can't get on board with that.
Like the team's a little, yeah.
Like the jersey patch, all about it. No problem whatsoever. But some of these other ones where it actually, you look at this jersey right here, and you got the team logo just right there. It's almost like a team logo chest, and then everything else is advertisement.
It's huge, right?
Like where it should say Broncos, it says whatever the company is.
Walmart.
Yes.
Yeah. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, 1232. Coming up at 105, Steve Bartle will join us. Always fun to catch up with Steve. We'll chat with him, get his thoughts on the Utes and the announcement on the Ring of Honor. It's all straight ahead here on The Zone.
Best sports radio in Utah is right here, right here. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaCoe, on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
For the line. I'm having such a good day today.
See, you know what we do is when we feel like, so Hans had this situation where when I knew he was not in a good mood or I knew something was wrong, this is when he and I were both, let's just say not counting calories, When when I knew that he was a little grumpy about something, I just go and grab him a sandwich, poof, put him in a good mood. Just easy. Like I knew I could get him, or I'd go to a gas station, grab him some Pop-Tarts, the S'mores brand, love those. Throw those in front of him, boom. We had him back. He was great. Here, all we need is people. If you were a little salty about your Red Sox, we just need to go all in on Bo Nix, and that puts you in a cheery mood once again.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've got kind of some rogue in me. I know that might surprise you, but what do they say? Misery loves company.
A little bit, yeah. Did he call it Boeing? Come on.
Boeing.
Tago
Shout out,
Vailoa.
James.
James.
Aren't they? I think all these guys are named James. At least Lloyd, when you're making up people.
No. We
use
got
different
let's see, a
names.
James, a Joe, a Kevin, a Thomas, a Jim L. Let's see.
From Murray.
Can we find any more like generic names?
Is there another Jim L that came in by chance?
A Jim
It
L.
is Utah. It is Utah. Like
Not Jamil.
you can
Oh,
you
okay.
can always come up with like McKay or Connor or McConkey. Like there's all these kind of weird
McConkey.
names out there.
Yeah, you might be held to a higher standard if you're McConkey. I got one for you guys.
All right.
All right. I need both of your help on this.
Okay.
So Jeremiah Jensen's out of town.
All right.
And so yesterday, as you know, Scotty, after the show, you were down in your office. I had no idea the paperwork you get through. But I did see it in that half hour I was waiting to film because I did the front row show
Yes.
with Sam, our guy Sam Farnsworth, and then Sly.
KSLSports.com.
Yes. It was, so we went into the main, studio, and they checked all my credentials, took my blood, all that stuff. I was able to go in.
Make sure you didn't have any allergies to rouge or blush.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
So they play. I mean, we talked about a bunch of things. We talked about the SEC. We talked about Rob Wright scoring 101 points in Powder League. We talked about the running games at both BYU and Utah and who's going to have the edge in running. So got through that stuff. But in the end, they did this thing called the Blind Five.
All right.
And these are 5 undrafted free agents that have played in the NFL from the state of Utah. And I want to, as I give you these 5, I'm going to give them to you in an order. And I want you to, without knowing what's coming, put them in a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5
All right.
based on what you know about their career.
Okay.
All right? We ready?
Yeah.
Chad Lewis,
2,
Jalen Warren,
4.
Taysom Hill,
I hate this. I would have put him 2. I guess I'm trying to think who's gonna pop up on the list that I'm gonna have to put 1. I'll put Taysom at 3.
Tim Patrick,
5.
Rashid Shaheed.
Well, I guess I gotta go 1.
So it's hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Mine was I put Chad 3. I put Warren 2. I put Hill 1.
Yeah.
Because I think that dude's going
Out
to
of
be in
the-
the Hall of Fame.
Out of the 5, I would put. I don't think he'll be a Hall of Famer.
I think an exhibit in the Hall of Fame.
Oh,
that's what.
yeah. Okay.
Not a Hall of Famer, but an exhibit. They're going to talk about him just because he's done things nobody's ever done.
Yeah. So I think, I if I could re-rank, knowing all 5 of them, I would have put Taysom 1. Don't sleep on Rashid Shaheed though. His
that
career
dude's
has been
good.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have him on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
He's good for like at least a 190-yard touchdown catch every year. He's a speedster.
And he's got your kick return and punt returns.
That's right. Weber State, baby.
Yep. Great.
Oh, interesting little exercise they had me go through yesterday.
I like that one actually. That's a good one.
The Blind 5.
We should have Lloyd, how would you have ranked those top 5?
Probably fairly similar to where you had it.
There's
Warren ran for like 900 yards last year, right? In Pittsburgh, I think.
yeah. Are these guys? Well, they're not currently in the because obviously Chad Lewis isn't.
Right. No, these are just guys that were undrafted, free agents that signed in the NFL or that played in the NFL. So it was over a period of time.
You know who I think probably, if you look at longevity of a career, I think Daniel Sorensen might be the guy that
He had a long run.
Oh,
long
yeah.
career.
And this wasn't like
Kansas
the
City.
5 best. It was just 5 they
Yeah,
pulled.
yeah.
But you're right. I mean, Sorensen that dude was all about it.
Yeah, and had a long, long career playing for the Chiefs, and had that last year in New Orleans. He won a Super Bowl in 2019. So Dirty Dan had himself a little bit of a run as an undrafted free agent.
I went to a baseball game of a nephew a couple of years ago, and Dan's kid was on the team. And I said to him, why'd you retire? I mean, he still looks like he could just,
Oh, yeah.
He looks incredible. Had the opportunity to have him as a camp coach at BYU basketball camp while he was in school to make some extra money, pre-NIL days.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But what a great guy, great career.
I got to imagine there were probably a lot of rules on what you could pay those guys for that.
Yes.
It's like, we'll pay you $1 million a practice.
Oh, yeah. No, there was you had to, what was it? Had to be within the normal standard of what people were being paid for similar things in the area.
God bless America.
Yeah.
The
That was,
NCAA.
again, that's why the SEC and Big Ten are fighting so bad to just have one thing be in there. You got 5 to play 5 and go figure it out. And because the more rules get in, you get the phone book that we had before now.
I mean, there were guys that were on staff, and I think, still are on staff. That's their sole job. And some universities have multiple guys where that's their sole purpose is to make sure that you're compliant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you do not want to.
And they're the most unpopular person in an athletic department.
Yeah. Our guy was, I wanted to hate him because everything you deal with those guys is bad.
Yeah.
But the guy at BYU, shout out Chad William, one of the good dudes. We butted heads. We yelled and screamed. But, we're each just trying to fight. He's trying to protect the university. We're trying to fight to get right as close to the edge as we can. And, got told no a lot. It's just part of it.
Sorry.
Like Coach Rosa said one time, Chad, do you ever say yes to anything?
He's a no
He's
man.
getting heated.
Oh, man. Like, that and like being an HR director or being the compliance guy in an athletic department, those are jobs that nobody likes you because when you show up, we did have like our HR director like wheeling some pies around yesterday. Did you see Anna?
I did.
And Anna's awesome, like one of the most genuine human beings on the planet. Love her. But look, if it's a Friday afternoon and Anna shows up at your office and says, I need to see you for a few minutes, it ain't usually good news. Like, it's not. Like, and I'm not
You start
talking about
walking
Anna
the other way
specifically.
usually on Fridays.
I'm just talking like when an HR director wants to see you on a Friday, it's probably not good news.
I would think most days.
Yeah, but usually they wait till Friday to get a full week of work out of you.
Maybe, but I mean, Ryan Clark, he got right mid-show.
Yeah, that's
right
true.
in the middle of the week, so you never know.
So the HR director, never a big fan, and then when the compliance director says, hey, knocks on your door, like, I need to chat with you a few minutes about this recruit that you're going after. I need to see your phone records.
Yeah, can we see that documentation from your trip? Like, oh, yeah. I will admit I made one major error, believe it or not. It was completely 100% innocent, but there was a period of time around Christmas that's kind of protected from recruiting.
The dead period?
Yeah. It's called the dead period. And I just got busy. I wasn't thinking straight. And one of the days that I had planned to be out overlapped because there was a tournament in Arizona. So I'm like, I'm just going to go while I'm out there, and didn't even think about the date, the deadline, any of that. So I fly out there, I go to the thing, and I walk in, and I'm looking around like, there's no coaches here. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to probably bolt. So I left, but, damage had been done.
Yeah, they saw you.
in.
Yeah.
So we self-reported it and said, just a total mess up, and didn't kind of explain the situation. Well, they come back with, okay, one of your staff members has to miss a game, but it has to be, so basically I was able to go to the game, but it was my scout, I think. So we had someone else miss, and it was awful. because we were at Air Force, and I knew Terry Nashif was running a treadmill back at the hotel because we had to go play somebody next. I can't remember, Colorado State or something. And just was a mess sitting there watching it in the workout room. But that was the extent of, him coming and knocking on my door like, hey, were you in? Yeah, I was.
Yeah, about that.
That was me.
All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up at 105, Steve Bartle will join us. We'll have a chance to chat with him, get his thoughts on the Utes straight ahead right here on the Zone.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest name.
You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Yeah, that Bo Nix is a bum. He's a bum, I say.
Enough of this. I know.
That sounded like
this has become a popular topic.
I know you've got everybody on the cell staff. I know you got every producer sending you voicemails. Stop. We know this isn't real.
That was Mickey from Rocky.
I know it does. Cut him, Rocky.
He's a bum.
By the way, if you want to leave a message and have Lloyd play it and actually be legitimate, all you have to do is download the new KSL Sports app. On the very bottom of that app, you'll see a row of buttons. One says home, voicemail, podcast, news, watch. Hit that voicemail button, and you can leave a quick little message to us, and then Lloyd will then play it. If it's pro Bo Nix, it probably won't make it on the air because Lloyd just wants your anti-Bo Nix stuff. But
and by the way, Scotty, have a blessed day.
See, I'm not buying any of that. Now, that one I think is real. That one came in last week.
I think that one that just was read was real. Wasn't it?
I don't.
Sound like an old man.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got plenty of those guys.
Play that
staff.
again.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that Bo Nix is a bum. He's a bum, I say.
Yeah, come on. That's not even real.
I think that's real.
He's a bum, I say. Wait, you call some bar in Jersey to get it some like, hey, I need you to read this line for me. He's a bum. A bum, I say. He's a bum. Like, what is this, 1950? What's going on here?
I'm telling you, that guy had his dukes put
Yeah.
on.
Put him up, I'd say. Put him up.
Tom O'Leary right here and Jack Johnson.
So it's not fun, right? This isn't fun.
No, I'm actually having a delightful time because it makes me realize that we have a lot of listeners out there with a lot of different intelligent levels, and so we're a show for the masses, even the not overly bright ones.
Well, that's why I'm here. You appeal to the bright ones, and I bring in the corral of everybody else.
I am surprised there's this much anti-Bo Nix in this market. I'm surprised.
It's not because the pro Bo Nixers out there are not being heard from because you're essentially
if I get any pro Bo Nix, I will play it.
Hey, but you need to do that pro bono.
Heyo. We're going to talk some Utes coming up next hour. Really fired up. I think the Morgan Scally storyline for the University of Utah is the most fascinating storyline coming up this year in college football, and especially in the state. Look, year number 2 of the Bear Bachmeier thing is going to be really fascinating to watch. The transition of defensive coordinators at BYU is going to be fascinating to watch. But make no mistake, all eyes are on Morgan Scally, and I think that he knows that. I think that's why he's signed off on social media, made the big announcement. Was it yesterday or the day before? He's like, I'm out. I will see you guys on the other side. Because that dude wants to be dialed in, does not want to be distracted, and does not want to hear about all this stuff. Because that first game, if that offense doesn't score 50 points and if they don't win that game by 40 points, there's probably going to be some wackos out there saying, hey, we got to address this. Maybe he's not the guy. He is the guy. He'll be great. Just calm it down. But I cannot wait for this Scally era to begin.
Well, you talk about the tweets that you saved to remind everybody that, earlier that they were a miss. I did kind of the same thing because Kalani was fighting a battle early on. It was a lot of fodder when they struggled to, he doesn't have it. It's not him. I think it was pretty obvious to everybody. He just needed a little time.
Yeah.
And, the program needed to come along a little ways too. I think for a long time, BYU had been in a dominant spot, and when they were independent and having to craft schedules and play teams, it was really difficult. So I'm so glad they weathered the storm. And I'm with you. I think the college football season, because of what you talked about, and then also the unknowns, the things that, like I said, who's going to present themselves to us this year is like, I'm here. I'm a dude and a fixture and somebody you can talk about and count on. That really helps the coaches as they do their thing.
All right. 1 o'clock straight up. Steve Bartle joins us next right here on The Zone.